Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedballing video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building in the world of Oasis Springs, which is one of the base game worlds, and I'm going to be building a Mediterranean family home. So this house is built on a 30 by 20 lot in the world of Oasis Springs where the Caliente sisters live. Now I'm going to say Caliente sisters because for my save file I'm going to make it so it's only Nina and Dino Caliente. Katrina, the mum, she's going in the bin. She's not going to be in my save file. I have mentioned this before, and this house is not for them, but just in case you're curious of where this house is built, I'm not familiar with the neighbourhood names, but if you know where they live when you open up a brand new save file, this is where this house is built. But I really want you to sit down and build a brand new house for my save file because this house will be in my save, and I really wanted to build something that was Mediterranean. And I feel like it's been a bit long, a bit overdue, this house, because I haven't sat down and built a house in this world in a really long time. The last build that I did in Oasis Springs was a country club and spa, which I built just after we got the spa day refresh. But apart from that, I was feeling, you know, a Mediterranean house is a bit overdue, and so I really wanted to sit down and build a brand new house for my save file. Now, something I've always found with the Sims 4 base game worlds like Willow Creek and Oasis Springs is the neighbourhoods really reflect on your Sims world, and I really want to kind of implement that idea into my save file for the base game worlds anyway, and try and expand on it and try and show that visually for the houses that I build in certain neighbourhoods. So if we look at Oasis Springs, for example, you've got 4 neighbourhoods in the world that are residential. The first neighbourhood would be like the budget-friendly, cheap neighbourhood, if you want to put it that way, and that is going to be the neighbourhood in my save file where Johnny Zest lives in The Sims 4, if you're familiar where he lives. Then there is one level up, which is the mid-century area, and then another level up from that, which is the area that we're building in, which I always seem to think is like the upper middle class. I feel like Sims that live here, they've got a bit of money, but they haven't got land grab kind of money, if you know what I mean. And so I wanted to sit down and build something that was quite reflective of that. I wanted to show a bit of wealth in this house. The interior of this house is probably one of my favourites that I've done in such a long time. It just, I mean, you'll see it in a minute, but it's so rustic, and there's a lot of exposed brick and a lot of dark woods, and I just absolutely love just the whole house, but especially the inside of this house so much. I hope you guys like it as well. Now, as always, where this house is going to be for my save file, I have got a family in mind that are going to be living here in my save, and like a storyline that runs along them, and it kind of pairs nicely with the house. But before I talk about that, I just do want to talk about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, the main structure of the build came together quite quickly, and I would be lying if I said I was able to come into my game and just quickly whip up this build, because that was not the case. I originally came into Oasis Springs probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I wanted to build something Mediterranean because, you know, it's been a while. I always like to change up the different houses that I build every single week. You know, I always like to change up the different house styles and the worlds that I build in and whatnot. And so I felt like Oasis Springs, I needed to build here, and I also really wanted to build here. But I came into my game a few weeks ago and I started building this house, and originally I wasn't looking at anything. I was just trying to build something that felt very Mediterranean to me, and I liked it. But I was looking at it and I was thinking, something's off about this house. I couldn't put my finger on it and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to come back to it possibly at a later date and then see if I can work it around and like try and figure out what it was. Well, earlier this week I was on Pinterest and I came across this picture that looked very similar to the house that I'd already previously built, but the house that I originally built, without looking at anything, I created a tower at the front, and the tower would kind of be like the entrance into the house, so it would be on a diagonal, and you know, it wouldn't be a square like pull out or bump out. But you can see now that I've made it into a rectangle, and then I put the industrial loft kit window, and it just completely transformed the build. And I'm so happy that I came across this picture on Pinterest. I basically made like a Frankenstein version of the house that I already had. Like, I left in the features like the upstairs like balcony and the garage, and then I saw this picture and I just tried to implement things from this picture into the house I already had, and I just absolutely love the way it turned out. So hopefully you guys like it as well. But I just wanted to mention like the building process of this. I just think it's funny how the build that I already have, sadly I don't have a picture of it, because what I will do also, if you're thinking, hang on, I haven't seen you build any diagonal walls or anything, what I often do is when I build houses for my save file, I'll come into my game before I start filming and I'll kind of like plan out a structure of the build and how the build's going to look structurally. That's how sometimes I'm able just to, you know, build the exterior wall so quickly, because I mean, you might not think it, but I have a lot of planning that goes into each of my builds that I post onto YouTube, and that's why you haven't seen me place the diagonal walls. But when I was like planning how the build would structurally look, that was like the building process. And I just thought I'd mention it because some of you might want to know that, some of you might not want to know that, but I told you anyway. So but anyway, moving on from that and actually talking about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I'm starting doing a little bit of landscaping. I say I've done the majority of the front, and I will go and do the back garden in just a minute. I love the way that I landscape this build because I feel like normally with builds in Oasis Springs, I will tend to go towards more orange or red flowers, or even possibly yellow flowers, to kind of make it feel a little bit more deserty. But where I wanted to kind of show a little bit of wealth in this house, especially in the landscaping, I decided to use these rose bushes that we got from the live edit of the debug menu, one of the two, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we got them from Cottage Living, and they just somehow, even though they came with the world of Henford on Bagley, which is based off England, and England and Oasis Springs are literally worlds apart, I feel like it fits in so perfectly, just with the area, and it just makes the house just feel a little bit more grand and luxury from the outside, and I feel like it kind of reflects on the inside as well. And I love the landscaping, so hope you guys will like it as well. But I think it's a little bit not normal to do the landscaping that I did for this house, but I felt like it was working. So I was like, why fix something that's not broken? Why should I have to use the orange and red flowers just because they're typically found in this world? Let's just go all out and let's just experiment with the landscaping, and I'm really happy that I did. I also am really happy that I placed down these tall trees. That's something that I found from the picture that I saw on Pinterest. There was these big tall long trees, and that also helped the build make it feel a little bit more grand, a little bit more luxury. It almost kind of like pieces the storyline together as well, with like the exterior landscaping being so like grand and luxury, and then the inside being quite, you know, fancy. Well, not fancy like Get Famous orange gold kind of fancy, but you'll see what I mean on the inside. But if you're curious, before I start talking about the storyline, this house has 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Now, if you would like to, you could definitely make it into easily a 4-bedroom house, or possibly even a 5-bedroom house if you wanted to convert the garage downstairs into an extra bedroom for maybe like a teenager or something. But for the family that's going to be living here in my save file, I only needed the 2 rooms. But getting on and actually talking about the family, so the family consists of 2 Sims, and they are going to be mother and daughter. And the idea that I had in my mind was the mum is a very, very famous celebrity, and she used to be an actress. Now, the idea that I was kind of running off was that she had like this really, really good active career, you know. If your Sims would pop into the cinema on like a Friday or a Saturday night or something, and they were going to go and see a film back like 5-10 years ago, your Sims would know that this Sim that lives in this house was going to be in the film, because she was just such a successful actress. She was in every single film. Her IMDb rating was very high. She had so many names under her belt. Like she was doing good in the actress career, and she was probably the most successful actress at the time. But then during one of her films, like when she was filming it, she fell in love with one of her co-stars. Now, the idea that I had in my head was she fell in love, and, you know, maybe they had like a little bit of a one-night stand kind of thing. But, you know, like a one-night stand that is not, you know, don't meet him at a bar one night kind of stand. It was kind of like a bit of a mistake, but not on her part, but on her co-star's part, because I was thinking that her co-star that she fell in love with was already married and already had a family. But I was thinking that the co-star was probably a little bit of a higher celebrity level, so had a little bit more of a dedicated fan base, you know. They had a very good celebrity reputation, and this Sim just fell in love with them when they were filming. And I was thinking that possibly at the end of shooting this film that they were doing, maybe the whole production team went out for like drinks or something to celebrate, and, you know, they had maybe they had a bit too many, and then something happened, and then she fell pregnant. But I feel like the response that she received from her co-star was really negative, because where they had such a positive representation within the media, and, you know, they were loved by many fans, they already had this family that, you know, they were already married and they already had children themselves. It was kind of like a little bit sour because she fell in love with this co-star, and it wasn't really the same on their part. You know, they didn't really feel the same. It was just kind of like a bit of a mistake for them. And so I feel like they probably kept it a secret for a while. Like, the pregnancy was a secret, and they didn't have a relationship. It was kind of like a one night kind of stand kind of thing, and that was it. And then I was thinking that, you know, she had the baby, and then she continued acting for a few years, and then after a little while, once the child had kind of grown up a little bit, she was thinking that she really wanted to be more involved in the child's life, because where she was doing so good in her career, you know, like I said, like 5-10 years ago, she would be in all these films, she kind of neglected raising her daughter, and so she kind of settled down on the acting part. She's not in as many films now. Maybe she'll be in like the odd one or two, but you know, for the most part she is a retired actress. Maybe she'll pop into like the odd Christmas special of a program or something like that, but she doesn't do acting anymore, and she just solely raises her child, even though her kid now is a teenager. Which, by the way, I was imagining she might be thinking, was she living with the child, like what was going on? I was thinking that her daughter was mainly raised by like housekeepers and maids and whatnot, and you know, it was someone that was always in the house with them, but it wasn't necessarily her mum. Her mum wasn't really the person that was, you know, cooking her dinner and taking her to sporting events or maybe taking her cheerleading or something. It was always like the help of the house, if you put it that way. But I mean, I still think that they've got housekeepers, but I don't think the housekeepers are going to be playing as much of a role now that the daughter is now a teenager. But that was kind of like the idea that I had for the mother. Now for the daughter, it's not as in-depth, but I was thinking that she also wants to be someone in the public eye. You know, she's got this other parent that is in the public eye. They're doing really well. I still think that they've got a relationship, don't get me wrong. I don't think it was like they fell pregnant, they had a baby, and then like the other one left. I still think that they have a relationship, but it's something that they might only see each other like once or twice a year, you know, at Harvest Fest or maybe at Winterfest or something. You know, they do have another family, the other parent, and so I don't think that they're going to be a sole, you know, like a sole dependent for the child or the kid. But I do imagine that they do still have a positive-ish relationship with their other parent and also their half siblings. But I was thinking that the daughter really wants to become a content creator, and so one of the rooms upstairs are designed to be kind of like a YouTube studio. So it's like a filming room. In there we've got the more views video station, so your Sims can stand there and, you know, they can make YouTube videos or whatever videos. And that was just kind of like the idea that I had for the family in mind that's going to be living in this house, and I absolutely love it. I love the idea that, you know, the mum wasn't really that close with her daughter as she was growing up, but now the daughter's a teenager and they are like the best of mates. Like they do everything together. They, you know, they go to the spa together. They'll often go maybe to Selva Dorada for a few days to get a holiday in, and you know, they're the best of friends now. But growing up they wasn't as close because the mum had such an active career in acting, and now she's kind of settled down. I was thinking that she might be a little bit of a businesswoman, so maybe she has some shares in different companies. I would love if we could get a detailed feature of this in The Sims 4. We currently don't have one. We had something like it in The Sims 3, but you know, if your Sims could have like different partnerships in different businesses, I feel like she would be a partner in many different businesses. And so because of that reason, I decided to give her a home office. But we'll move on and talk about that shortly, because as you can see, I've now finally moved on into the inside of this house. You could see I just did the hallway quickly, and now I'm moving on and I've started doing the lounge sitting area. Now originally when I was planning out this house and like the floor plan, this was going to be the dining room, because I wanted it to be on a lower level, like the platform, because the whole house, instead of being built on a foundation, it's built on platforms and it's the second platform height. But then I built the house on the bottom level with a medium wall height. Hopefully that's easy to follow along, but I wanted there to be like a little bit of a step down into an area in the house. And originally the lounge area that you just saw me do was going to be the dining space, but what ended up being the dining space was kind of in this room anyway, and so it was a little bit, it was originally going to be a dining space, but it didn't end up being a dining space, is basically what I'm trying to say. But in there, I used the Paranormal Stuff, a sofa, an armchair, and then I used the Cottage Living fireplace, and then I put these beams, which are from Snowy Escape, and it just helps it feel really rustic. And there's, as you can see, there's a lot of exposed brick, there's a lot of dark woods. It's just, I love the interior of this house so much. I really want my new current household to move into this house, because I just had so much fun at decorating it, and the screenshots as well for this house are absolutely beautiful, but you'll see that at the end. But anyway, you can see that I've now moved on and I've started doing the kitchen area. Now the inside of this house is quite open plan. Like you walk in through the front door, you've got like a little bit of a porch area where, you know, your Sims can put their shoes down, put their hat and coat down. You walk through the archway and you come into the kitchen, lounge and then dining space, and it just feels very open and nice and breezy, and I just feel like it fits in better with this house rather than it being all closed off, because a lot of the time I'll do like a separate kitchen, a separate bathroom, well obviously a separate bathroom, but a separate kitchen, a separate dining room, a separate whatnot. but I never really seem to do open plan houses anymore, and I don't know why, but I did it in this house and I really like it. But I decided to go for the base game counters, which recently got updated, which is very exciting. I use these counters as well upstairs in the YouTube studio, but I use it in a different swatch, and I love this swatch colour that we have so much. I'm not 100% sure if this is one of the new updated swatches, because some of the swatches look very similar to one another, but either way I just love it, and I felt like it suited in with this house so much, with like the brown windows and the doors and the flooring as well. By the way, that flooring, I don't think, maybe I've used it like once or twice, but I never use it. It's the most expensive flooring in the game, and I believe for one tile of this flooring that I've used, it's like 14 simoleons. Something crazy like that. Is extremely expensive, but I felt like with the higher celebrity level of Sims that are living in this house, I felt like it was appropriate. But I do want to mention as well, as always, I have playtested this house. If you know me, I playtest every single one of my houses before I put them onto the gallery, so you're not going to run into any problems. Now, when I came around to playtesting this house, you see I've done the island that's got the, what's it called, stovetop, because I normally call it a hob, but a lot of people don't know what a hob is, because we call it a hob in the UK, but it's called the stovetop. Either way, the stovetop that I put on the counter, when my sim came round to trying to make some food, so play test the kitchen to make sure it all worked, for some reason my sim loved to make the food on top of the stovetop. It's stand there with a mixing bowl and a spoon and try and make food. It's like, what are you doing? There's literally 2 empty counters there for you. And so I ended up moving it to the right hand side, like the stovetop. But then honestly, you can write it. My sim then went to try and make something else, went to the fridge, walked past the empty counter again, and then tried to make food again on the stovetop. It's like, what are you doing? There's literally 2 empty counter spaces there. But in the end, I decided to move the stovetop to the other side of the counter. That's the only difference that I made in this house when it came around to playtesting it. It was really weird. I think it must be like a glitch or a bug. Maybe it's a new one. I've never experienced that before, because I've used them stovetops quite a lot in a lot of my builds. And it's never happened, but it happened in this build. But if it's a new bug or a new glitch in the game, honestly, is anyone surprised at this point with The Sims 4, because it's just filled with bugs? But yeah, I just wanted to mention that is the only problem that I ran into with playtesting this house. Everything else works perfectly fine. Also, I think I didn't make that very clear, but when I moved it, I didn't move it to a different counter that's not on the island. I moved it to the other side of the island, so it's still on the island. I just feel like I didn't say that properly, but it's still, the little stovetop is still on the island. But yeah, anyway, besides the point, as you would have seen, I just quickly did a little dining room space. It's not very grand in this house, but I felt like, it's just a mum and her daughter living here. They're not really going to have charity parties anymore. The actress has been and done all of her fan meet and greets, all of her fancy parties where she invites other celebrities round. I feel like now it's just her and her daughter, and maybe often she has like a few mates come round or something, and so I didn't feel like a grand dining space was necessary. But you can see now I've moved on into the home office area, so I imagine that the mum now has like some like shares in like different businesses or something, and so she's a little bit of a businesswoman now, actress turned businesswoman. And so I wanted to give her an office so she could sit down, answer to emails, maybe look at new properties, maybe she owns different properties, or maybe she could own one of the restaurants that is going to be in my save file. I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure if it's even going to be one that I built yet. Maybe she won't, but I want her to be like a businesswoman, was an actress, now is a businesswoman kind of thing. But as you would have seen it, now I've moved on into the next room, which is the little utility laundry room. In here, it's short and sweet. It's it's a washing machine and there's a tumble dryer. Not really much else that you can put in these rooms, but I wanted to show it anyway. On the other side, you can see that little empty room that ended up being a small little bathroom. You might be able to see it as I'm turning the camera around, but I ended up like replacing a few of the different items in that room anyway. And normally I only show the furnishing of one bathroom, and so I didn't feel like it was necessary to show the furnishing of all of them, as there is 3 in this house. Which, by the way, the bathroom that I do show, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You wait until you see the screenshots of that one, because I would love to be a sim and have that as my bathroom. That's all I'm going to say. But now you can see I've moved on to the next room, which is the garage. Now, originally I was going to make this into like a little gym area, because I feel like even though the actress has like been and done, she's kind of like retired now, I still feel like she's very active in the public eye. Maybe she does a little bit of public speaking. Maybe you can often find her in San Moschino, the world that we got from the City Living expansion pack. There is the area where your sims can go and do like speeches. Maybe she is a big like speech person, maybe she's really into politics or something, but I still imagine that she's still very active in the public eye. And there is still paparazzi that line up outside of her house every single day. That's also one of the reasons why I wanted the house to be quite fenced off. So you would have seen it at the front of the house, I used half walls to kind of fence it in, and then at the back, even though it's not as big of a lot, and realistically, if it wasn't going to be a celebrity living here, I probably wouldn't have fenced in the back garden. But as it's a celebrity, if you're not familiar, paparazzi will literally just walk into your garden and will literally just stand there taking pictures of you as your Sims, or not you, but yeah, of your Sims as they're like in the swimming pool and stuff like that. And so I felt like it was necessary to fence in. But originally I was going to make the garage room into a fitness room and like a little bit of a home gym, because even though she's not in the acting career anymore, she's still in the public eye and she still wants to give herself like the best body she can. And I feel like she's very into health and fitness, and she just wants to look the best that she possibly can. And so I feel like she would have a home gym. But then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, actually, she's probably going to be a regular member at the Oasis Country Club and Spa, which is a spa that I've already built for my save file, which is built in Oasis Springs, but it's built in the area that the land grabs live in. And so I was thinking, if she's going to be a regular there, why am I making a gym into her house when I feel like she's going to be there most days anyway? And so I just decided to make it into a garage. But you can see that now I've moved on upstairs and I've started furnishing one of the bathrooms. The other bathroom is an ensuite, but this is kind of like the main master bathroom of the house. How beautiful is the view looking out from the bathtub? I mean, you can't see it right now, but I'm telling you, it is so beautiful. I was very tempted to include a screenshot of literally what your Sims would see as they sit in the bathtub, because if they look out the window, they can see the pool area that's got the rocks and it's got all the different like shooting water coming out of it. But then behind that, there's this massive big like lake pond thing. It is just absolutely beautiful, all the palm trees and whatnot. It's just such a nice bathroom, I think. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the teenagers' room. Now, something that I really like to do in this house and really wanted to focus on, where it was a lot of dark woods, you know, like the window frames and all the doors were dark, and then we have these wooden beams from Snowy Escape. You can see one just in the corner over there. I wanted to add a lot of soft furnishings, so a lot of like white and creams, and just kind of like tie it in all together. And that to me made this house feel a little bit more like fancier, but not fancy like, you know, extra in your face, Get Famous, because some of the stuff that we got from Get Famous, like the furnishings, are a bit in your face. Like there's beds with like leopard print on and, you know, very yellowy gold, orangey gold kind of swatches of stuff. That's not the kind of fancy that I want in my save file, because I'm not particularly fond of that type of, you know, colour scheme kind of thing. But I wanted it to feel fancy in the sense of soft furnishings and like little small details that made the house feel a little bit more luxury. Now, this is the teenagers' room, but they don't have the computer desk in their room, because I was thinking that they'd probably just have a laptop. So in my save file, this sim will have a laptop in their pockets that they could just, you know, whip out and just go on the laptop wherever. I just wanted this bedroom to be basically a place where they can come and sleep. You know, it's literally a bedroom. It's got a bed in it, it's got the mirror from Jungle Adventure in it, and it's also got a little chest of drawers which is from Parenthood. But now I'm moving on into the teenagers' kind of like main room. This is their office and this is the YouTube studio. So in here, I wanted it to feel as YouTube studio as possible with all the different things that we have in the game. So I placed down the More Views video station that we got from Get Famous. Now I'm still a bit confused because we have two different versions of this video station. We have the More Views one, which is the one that I've placed down, and then we have one which is More Choices. And I've played with both in my own personal gameplay. Maybe it's just me, but I can't tell a difference between them. But I put down the one that has more views because I feel like where her mum has such a big presence, not even just online, but just in general, you know, she is a worldwide famous actress. She's going to be getting quite good views on her YouTube channel anyway. And so I decided to place down the More Views video station instead of the More Choices. Like I said, I can't tell a difference whenever I play it myself, but maybe you can. If you can, you know, feel free to change it out. But on this little backboard here that I use the counters from base game, I wanted it to kind of be like a little bit of a shelf for her to put all the different things that maybe she talks about in her videos. So I put some makeup on there, I put some magazines, I also put some awards. Maybe they're different awards that she's won for doing different things. And one thing you might have noticed is I placed down these two little like plaques that we got from Get to Work, and I think you get them when you earn like your first simoleon or something when you have a retail shop. But I imagine in my mind that they're YouTube plaques, and so I put down two. I imagine the bigger one is for 1 million subscribers or 1 million followers on this Sims YouTube channel, and then the smaller one is the 100k plaque, because with YouTube you have like the different sizes, from what I've seen anyway. You have like the big gold one, and then you have the smaller silver one. That's what I imagined them plaques to be, and I just felt like it fitted in so perfectly and just worked so nicely in that room. But then it also placed down one of the wall lights that we got from the Moschino. I know it's not pronounced that, before anyone tells me how to pronounce it, but I always refer to it as a Moschino Stuff pack. But that wall, when you originally pull it out of Build and Buy, it's pink. You can change the colour of it to be any colour that you like, and I always like to change it to like a warm yellowy colour. And if you're curious how I'm able to change the colour of the light whilst I'm in Build and Buy mode, which normally you can't do, it's from the tool mod, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from the tool mod, which is from Twisted Mexi, which is the mod that you can see me using now into the next room, which is the walk-in wardrobe, which I've forgotten to mention that is in this house, but you know, you can see it now. Both the mother and the daughter share a walk-in wardrobe. I just felt like it was very, very fitting and very suiting for both of these Sims. You know, the mum's got a ton of clothes, probably have collected loads of different shoes and loads of different dresses from all the different films that they've been in over the years, and so there needed to be somewhere to keep them all. Plus the bedrooms weren't big enough to have like their own little walk-in wardrobe section, and so I felt like, let's just make one of the rooms that could easily be a bedroom into a walk-in wardrobe. Why not? It just fits in with the family. Also, if you're curious, the way that I was able to create the walk-in wardrobe was from the Dream Home Decorator game pack, which I'm sure most of you are aware of now, but you can create walk-in wardrobes and they just look so cool. But I did have to use the tool mod to move them a little bit, because annoyingly, with a lot of the Dream Home Decorator furniture, they kind of like snap to the wall and snap together, which is great, don't get me wrong, love that. But the annoying thing is, when you place it up against a wall, half of the side, well not half the side, that's a bit dramatic, but a part of the side will disappear and you can't see the wood. So when I was placing it into the wall, like, and it was auto slotting into place, part of the wooden like side of it would disappear into the wall. And I didn't like that, so I was able to use a tool mod to kind of move it, so then it's just it's slightly peeking through, so then you can see that on both sides it's supported by wood and it's not just going into the wall. It's a small little difference, but it really annoys me when the furniture just slots into the wall. It really does annoy me. So I was able to get it to not slot in by using the tool mod. Again, it's still usable. I'd play tested it all and it all works perfectly fine. But I did also have to cut out some of the walk-in wardrobe, because to clutter up every single shelf with like shoes and clothes and towels and baskets, it took me a while and it was a little bit boring, and so I decided to cut out a lot of that. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the last room in this house, which is the bedroom, or it's the last bedroom. You're going to see me do the hallway in just a second, but this is the master bedroom. I felt like it was very appropriate to have a 4-poster bed with the curtains. The one that I've used is from the City Living expansion pack, and then I've just paired it with, you know, a nice little rug which is from Laundry Day. I placed down this shelving unit over here which is from Eco Lifestyle, and I wanted there to be somewhere in this house that showcased all the different awards that the mum has earned over the years, you know, from all the different films, all the different Grammys and whatnot that they have gained. But I didn't want there to be like a bit of a showy offy thing, and so I thought, you know what, in the bedroom it'll be nice to have like a little section showcasing it, but it's not in your face, but it's kind of like a nice little like nod to it, if you get what I mean. So I placed that down into that room, and now as you can see, I've just gone back out to the outside, created like a little balcony area. I'm just going to finish off this house by decorating the hallway. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voice over here. So as always, you can download this build via the gallery. My origin ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speed building video. Bye guys!